Nick and Jana Cirilli were out and about at the party on Friday night. She was ready to have a good time and drank a little more than usual of her favorite wine. Lana, Jana's best friend, and her husband Steve were having a party that night and decided to start a game of truth or dare. The owners persuaded 5 more couples to play, but the women, in particular, were hesitant because Lana could be a bit harsh. The game started relatively calmly, as one of the women explicitly stated that she would not do anything racy, such as exposing her bare breasts. Some of the others agreed to keep the questions reasonable. As the game continued, the alcohol began to relax and affect the questions. As the requests became more insistent, one of the women suggested, and it was decided that if the question was out of line, it could be ignored. After some time, it was Lana's turn again, and she asked Jana, "Truth or dare?" The truth was chosen. "Who was your best lover?" asked Lana. "Nick, I guess." The excessive amount of wine Jana drank influenced her answer. Taking another sip and putting the glass down, she giggled like a schoolgirl and said, "Not really." There was a collective sigh. Lana told Nick, "Well, if you're not number one, then fight." Nick's response was neither verbal nor cheerful. His face turned beet red from a mixture of embarrassment and rage. Jana instantly sobered up enough to realize what she had done and tried to improve. Jana stated that she was just teasing her hubby and that he really was her best lover. Nick stood up and said, "To hell," and headed to the refrigerator for beer, but did not return to the game. Comments like, "Oh my God, Jana," or "Damn, this hits where it hurts," echoed around. "I thought the dumb blonde was a myth, but damn it, girl, you just told your husband that his place is no higher than second, and in front of 10 other people. Is he even second? Or maybe even further. Damn, Lana, I thought you were my friend," Jana said, trying to get up. "I was just joking, damn it." "I'm your friend. I'm just joking too. Bring him here. We'll all help him calm down," Lana volunteered. Jana felt that she urgently needed to get to Nick and fix everything as quickly as possible. Even drunk, she knew that it would not be easy to calm her hubby down. She found him hanging out at the wide screen with others. There was a game going on, but he wasn't watching it. "Sorry, baby. I'm a little drunk. I thought it was funny, but probably not. Get back to the game. Let me fix everything," she begged. "No, just stay away from me. Stay and I'll go home," he said, stood up and began to say goodbye to those who were nearby. Lana approached Jana and asked, "Where is he going?" "Home." "I'll go apologize to him before he leaves. I did it even worse. I'm sorry," Lana said, about to catch up with Nick. "Let him go, please. Right now he doesn't want to hear anything from any of us," Jana said, starting to cry. "That asshole? Wait here. I'll go get him." "No, Lana, don't." "You'll only make it worse," Jana begged. "We joke here all the time." "What the hell is wrong with him? You didn't sleep with someone else so he could be second," Lana volunteered, intending to be supportive. But the expected consent from her friend did not come. Instead, sadness and shame were reflected on Jana's face. Instantly, understanding came to Lana. "Lord Jesus, Jana, you did it!" "Please be quiet. If Nick thinks anyone else knows, my marriage will be over. Please, Lana, promise me. Not a word, not even to Steve," Jana begged. Okay, not a word. But after you sober up, we'll talk," Lana replied. "I need to go home." "He probably won't talk to me, but I have to try," Jana said quietly and headed towards the backyard gate. Lana returned and announced, "I'm taking her home just to make sure she gets there safe and sound." By the time Lana caught up with her, Jana had already reached the side door of her house. "Jana!" Lana shouted, but Jana simply turned, waved her hand, and went inside. Jana immediately went upstairs, went into the bathroom, put on a nightgown, and went to bed. She touched Nick's shoulder, hoping he would turn to her for a kiss, but he remained motionless. Trying to get some kind of response, she ran her nails down his back, just the way he liked it. After several minutes of caressing, he remained motionless. She thought she saw a tear roll down his cheek. A last attempt was made to defuse the escalating situation. "Honey, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it." "I love you," she whispered in his ear. The gentle peace offering was not received as expected. "Do not lie to me. I know what you said and what it means. Go to hell and leave me alone," he snapped. Following this outburst, he got out of bed, walked into his den, and slammed the door. Yana cried until she fell asleep. The morning came late, since the previous night kept Yana from the desired early rise. There was no coffee pot, no dishes, nothing in the kitchen. It looks like Nick left the house in a hurry, not wanting to meet face to face. Yana was saddened, realizing her guilt. She again remembered her answer to her friend's question. The alcohol she drank removed all restraint from her tongue, and the offensive truth came out in only 2 words. "Actually, no," and she said it loud enough for everyone to hear. The obvious implication was clear to their friends. It hardly looked like Yana was just playfully teasing her hubby. She hoped that a sincere apology and sincere reassurance would convince her husband that yesterday's remark did not matter. Alas, her apology was false. She was determined to keep this fact and the reasons why it was a lie a secret from him and everyone else. Desperate to correct her mistake, Yana decided to send her husband a message. "I'm so sorry about last night. With kids on the way, I decided Lana's party was my last chance to let go and relax a little. The fact that I went too far is putting it mildly. I was so out of it that I thought it was funny, maybe even playful. I believed I was teasing my darling hubby like any wife, but the look on your face instantly told me I'd screwed up. The fact that Lana was so quick to pick up and add her own punch is just her nature. She knows nothing about our past and, most likely, decided to just have fun. You know she adores you. Please don't blame her. Baby, that's not what I meant. You are my best in everything. Forgive me for being a stupid drunk who didn't understand how my best friend, could get hurt by my poor attempt at a joke. I love you with all my heart. Come home or at least call me. Please, I love you." Having made coffee, Yana sat down on a chair at the table, clasping her head in her hands. Many times she asked herself out loud, "Why did I say such stupidity?" At that moment, her phone rang, and the thought flashed through her head that Nick was answering. The call, however, was from Lana, and Yana chose to ignore it. Only a few minutes passed before Lana called again. Yana decided to answer. This conversation was also inevitable. "Yes, Lana? Honey, what the hell is going on? Last night you started to tell me something, and then fell silent." "It's not like Nick to react like that because of a little harmless joke," Lana said. "No, it's not like that," Yana answered slowly and restrainedly. "I'll come," Lana said. "No, this is not very good." Lana interrupted her. "Put on the damn coffee pot. I'll be there in 10 minutes. And without waiting for an answer, she passed out. 7 minutes later, Jana's side door opened, and Lana walked in to find a cup of coffee on the table, prepared just the way she liked it. "Okay, lay it out," Lana ordered. "Lana, I can't. How long have we been best friends? Haven't I ever had your back? Now spit it out." Yana, racked with guilt, desperately needed someone to confide in, and Lana was her best friend. "First of all, you have to swear to me that you will never tell anyone about this, not even Steve." "Yana, I swear to you. Honey, I won't tell anyone. This will remain between us. Swear on the lives of your children." "Lord, baby, what have you done?" "Okay, I swear. I swear on my children no one will ever hear anything from me," Lana said, making the most solemn promise. "This happened 5 years ago, even before we moved here. The insurance company I worked for had a great year and had a Christmas party a few days before the 25th. Nick was supposed to be there, but his brother started a small fire in his house, which resulted in significant chaos. My husband and his truck were asked to help. Nick insisted that I go and have fun with my work friends and left to help his brother. Even though I told him I didn't have to go, I would be embarrassed to miss out since I was the executive who agreed to oversee this year's holiday. Parties, including cleaning up and restoring the office afterward. I pray to God that I insist on helping with the fire damage instead. Getting ready to change clothes to go out, I hesitated. Initially, I wanted to make my husband proud of me. The skimpy little black dress, daring bra, and thong were meant to dazzle and show everyone how hot my husband's wife is. The choice of outfit puzzled me, because I didn't think about what else to wear. My first mistake of the evening was deciding that I still wanted guys to drool over me and wearing a cheeky outfit, even though Nick might be a little pissed if he saw how I dressed for the party since I was going alone. With a colleague, yes, Lana exclaimed. Lana catches on quickly, very quickly. With a colleague? Yana repeated. Everything was much worse. Okay, girl, from the very beginning, the whole story, point by point, don't miss anything, Lana demanded. Okay. Damn. I've never said this out loud before. The party was typical. Everyone was happy. The drinks were flowing, and some guys were taking advantage of single women with liberal use of mistletoe. As night fell, I was drafted into the ranks of single girls. Not surprising, since my hubby wasn't there, and I was dressed like an errand woman. I realized what they were doing and should have put an end to it, but I was already tipsy and enjoying everyone's attention. Two guys in particular, Mark and Jake, kept pressuring me to relax. This was not the first time they had made sexual innuendos in my direction, and to my shame, sometimes I played along by returning feminine responses. I understand that I was too flirtatious with men back then, and I wish I had thought about the consequences of this earlier. Anyway, they kept pressuring me to allow things that wouldn't pass my husband's test. I knew exactly what I was doing, and worse, I was lying to myself that a little fun wouldn't hurt anyone. Nick will never know anyway, right? They lured me into places where others could not see the liberties that I allowed. The kisses became more and more intense, and as time passed, so did my morals. They became bolder when they realized that my symbolic resistance had disappeared in direct proportion to the lesser likelihood that others would detect us. Hidden from prying eyes, the men freely groped my body. I encouraged them, I knew it, and what's worse, they knew it. It's finally time to send everyone home. Since I was in charge, my job was to kick them all out after they helped me clean up. Since the place looked fairly restored, I turned off the lights and locked the main room. I then headed to my office to grab my purse, phone, and car keys. I changed my mind for a moment. I probably crossed all boundaries of what was permitted. Designated drivers were set for everyone except me because Nick was supposed to be my driver. The only good solution for this evening was to call a taxi. When I opened the door to my office and reached for the switch, Mark grabbed my hand, not allowing me to turn on the overhead light, which was very bright and could be seen from the outside. He said, "Let's continue," and kissed me on the lips. Frightened at first, I began to kiss him back. At that moment, a pair of arms came around me from behind and cupped both my breasts, while a very hard manhood pressed against my cloth-covered ass. It was Jake, and as he started rubbing against my ass, Mark took my face in his hands and kissed me deeply. I definitely drank too much, and the caresses with which they caressed me made me very sexually aroused, and, unfortunately, my husband was very far from my thoughts. I was lost and too far gone for thoughts of betrayal to get in the way. "Looks like some bad guys want to play," I said, stuttering slightly. Jake said, "We were really hoping you'd see this," and he reached out and turned on the desk lamp so there would be enough light to see what we were doing, but not advertise to the outside world that someone was inside. Mark then closed and locked my office door. I need to emphasize something right here that I don't think you, or anyone else for that matter, would believe, but I swear to God that it's the absolute truth. When I said I wanted to play, I didn't mean to have sex with them. You're right about that. Convincing anyone, especially Nick, hell, the chances of anyone but me believing it are zero, Lana added. I know. Don't I know this for sure? But I need you to believe me. I really, really need you to believe me. Okay, baby, I believe you. I know firsthand that a little alcohol can make a person rationalize shit like caviar, Lana said, offering some encouragement. I just thought we'd keep kissing and groping each other while the door was locked. The only thing you can see from the outside is if the main light is on, so I thought I'd have a little more harmless fun without the risk. I know how stupid it sounds now. Damn. I wish I could go back and change everything. Lana, I don't know if you've ever experienced two men trying to seduce you, but this feeling was incredibly strong. Yana paused. Actually, I have something to share since we are confessing. But you finish, I'll come later, Lana said. Okay. Be that as it may, Mark continued to experience my resistance. Kissing him back, I completely forgot about Jake until I heard his zipper being unzipped. My dress rode up to my waist, and Jake almost had my covered ass. Meanwhile, Mark also took advantage of my raised dress. That was the first moment when I realized that these two guys were going to fuck me. Well, as I already said, there was a lot of groping, but then the clothes began to completely come off. Yours or them? Lana asked, excited by her friend's story. Both, Yana continued. The feeling of two men lusting after you as they strip you was something I had never imagined. I protested weakly, saying, "No, I can't do this. No, I'm married, I can't." But after a few seconds, all that was left of me was a thong and heels. Being pleasured by two men was the most erotic thing I've ever experienced, but it was surpassed by what happened next. None of them wanted to stay away. I was in heaven. Two men have me at the same time. How could one person, any person, ever compete with such experience? We were so excited that it didn't take long until we all showed up. It was the best sex of my life. When we cooled down, I thought about Nick, and my betrayal suddenly became just as clear. I tried my best to break free and began to beg them to never tell anyone. What we did was a huge mistake, and I will undoubtedly get divorced if the truth comes out. They both promised to remain silent, but I realized that I would never find peace, knowing that the possibility of my betrayal could come to light. Yana finished, sitting heavily on a chair. Now it's clear why you answered like that yesterday. Did Nick ever find out? Lana asked. When Yana tried to answer, she burst into tears. Baby, if you want to stop, take a break, Lana suggested. No, I need to speak out while I have the strength, said Yana, and then continued. I think they were both very nervous seeing how upset I was, so they promised me to honestly keep my secret. That night, I avoided meeting Nick. It was already well after midnight when he returned home after helping his brother. The next 2 days were very awkward for me being around him. He could tell that something was wrong, but I denied that I had any problems until the New Year's party. I wanted to move past it, but I was already committed to being the party supervisor for this year's holiday parties. And besides, Nick might question my reluctance to go, and I didn't want to arouse any suspicion. Jake wasn't there. Perhaps he was afraid that his wife might suspect something. But good old Mark was there and got very drunk. He has a reputation as a player, and I still can't understand how I let him, of all people, get anywhere near me. I spent most of the evening dodging Mark. However, as time wore on and he became increasingly drunk, he became uncomfortably friendly with me, so much so that my secretary Cindy pulled me aside and said, "Be careful, your husband is here this time." Her emphasis on the word "this time" did not go unnoticed by me. My God, how many people suspect something? I tried to stay away from Mark, but by the end of the evening he seemed determined to flaunt my indiscretion in front of my husband. When Nick went to the bar for some cold drinks, Mark took the opportunity to come closer, grabbed my hand and said, "Come on, baby, you haven't danced with me yet." I panicked and said no, too, emotionally. Then, when Nick approached us, returning from the bar with our drinks, Mark said, "You weren't so arrogant at the Christmas party," holding my hand, trying to persuade me to dance with him. I jerked and told Mark to take his hands off me. I was terrified because I wasn't sure how much Nick had heard. An embarrassed expression appeared on my husband's face, which quickly turned to anger. To defuse the situation, I told Mark that the bar was about to close. He decided he needed another free drink. Cindy was nearby, and I gave her a look that could only be interpreted as pleading, and asked her to replace me. She understood my dilemma, pointed to my husband, and then nodded her head towards the door. I managed to get Nick out the door to take me home before the real trouble started. I told my husband that Mark was just very drunk, and I was very proud that my man did not clean his watch, as he very well could have done. I also noted that if this happened, everyone would have problems with management, regardless of who started what. When we returned home, Nick asked what happened. I tried to brush it off as Mark had had too much to drink, but Nick told me that if Mark ever came near me again, no matter what it took, he would kill him. At breakfast, Nick was already going over the events of last night and what was said in his mind. He asked, "Cindy intervened so quickly. How could she handle Mark better than you?" Then he quickly added, "What did he mean by how you behaved at the last party? What happened there? Why did you act so strange after that? Do you feel guilty about something?" He put two and two together. It was obvious that he didn't buy the idea that Mark was just drunk. He knew something had to happen to get those comments. Then he asked me again, with more force. "Well, what the hell happened at the Christmas party?" Feeling depressed, I broke down and admitted that I got drunk and engaged in some inappropriate behavior, but did not go into details. Then Nick looked me straight in the eye and asked, "Did you have sex with him?" He saw it in my eyes and understood it even before I answered. There was no point in denying it, so I said that I had drunk too much and that I was ashamed that I had allowed this to happen. He was furious, but he didn't press for details and I didn't say anything, so he never found out about Jacques or what I let the two of them do. To my shame, he probably didn't even think I was capable of such behavior, so it didn't even occur to him to ask. Nick left me that day and didn't want to talk to me. We were apart for 3 months without communicating. I was in agony when he agreed to start talking to me. I begged him at every opportunity to take me back. I even invited him to sign a free pass to the hall to get even. He eventually agreed to counseling, and after several months of sessions, I began to feel that Nick was looking for a way to restore our marriage. I was so happy that he seemed to want to stay married to me, and I was determined to do whatever it took to make that happen. I thought he would press for more details, and I was terrified of what knowing the whole truth would do to him. I can only guess what his reasons were, but he didn't ask those questions. I was thrilled that I didn't have to decide whether to lie or answer, even though I understand that withholding the whole story is lying by omission. He eventually agreed to make peace, promising that he would do everything he could to forgive me. But there were conditions. First, I had to sign a post-nuptial agreement that said I would get virtually nothing in the divorce if I ever cheated again. Another requirement of our reconciliation was that I should quit my job and we would move. Finally, he surprised me by showing me his hall passes. I forgot I suggested it, but I was so desperate for him to agree without asking any more questions that I signed an agreement that included giving him a couple of free passes to the hall. I think he needed them to help restore his badly damaged pride more than anything else, as I don't think he ever used them. So I agreed to everything, including moving away from all our friends and family so I could get my man back. Luckily, he was able to make a lateral move in his company, and my experience in insurance also made it easy for me to get a job. That's when we came here. I never had to tell him the whole truth about my betrayal, and I never let him down again. I'm sure you understand that I'm afraid that if he knew everything, he would divorce me. That's why my mistake last night could turn out to be such a disaster. I have to stick to the story that I made a tasteless joke, that only he took it that way, and that he is absolutely my best in life. Yana paused, letting her saga sink. Lord, did you have a threesome? I fantasized about this. Tell me again. How was it? Lana asked, showing enthusiasm for what her friend had done instead of realizing how close it was to ending the marriage. Damn it, Lana, I almost lost my husband, and I'm still in danger. Then after a long pause, between you and me, I cannot deny this fact. It was the most exciting sexual experience of my life, Yana said solemnly, and then added, I can't ever let Nick finds out the truth. Never. Okay, I understand why you said that. I also understand that no man can compete with two. It's better than my dirty story, Lana shared. What did you do? Asked Yana. Okay, I also want you to swear to me. Nobody needs to know. Stevie would probably throw me to the curb, Lana said, looking intently into Yana's eyes. Agree. We made an agreement. Nothing said here will ever be revealed to anyone. Yana swore her mutual devotion, and then invited her friend to share. Okay, it's your turn to tell everything. Lana began her story. Both of us. I never spoke about it out loud either. We were going to have a party, and people from the company were going to come to a swim and barbecue party that evening. Steve called me and said he had an emergency with one of their largest accounts. He was personally handling this particular client and was going to be at least 3 hours late getting home. Ron, hubby's business partner, took it upon himself to fill in for my husband and came under the guise of helping me get ready. He knew that their most important client hired my husband and that he had to personally go to this guy's office, which is about an hour and 10 minutes away each way. My husband has a keen eye for business negotiations, but one of the things my man is not good at is recognizing when a friend is a snake man. Ron is a man whore. He got divorced because he was caught cheating. His single status allows him to pursue his prey without fear of reprisals from his wife. He had his eye on me for a long time and I knew it. I should have said something to Steve, but I was too easily swayed by Ron's flattery. I liked the attention and would flirt back, sometimes shamelessly, when my husband couldn't see or hear. When Ron showed up to help, I was already screwed. Instead of getting our backyard ready, I spent the day lounging by the pool in a micro bikini, waiting for Steve to get home so I could start getting ready for our party. I had a few margaritas and wasn't drunk, but I felt good. I should have gone into the house and changed clothes, but I didn't. Ron was definitely enjoying himself, and I was enjoying letting him watch. We started preparing the patio for guests. Ron removed the lid from the grill and moved it to the center of the patio where it could be easily used. He then checked to make sure there was enough gas in the propane tank and temporarily lit the grill, making sure everything was fine. We then moved some chairs and tables around, got out the cooler with beer, stocked the bar, and set up some umbrellas. Our guests volunteered to bring a few more typical holiday appetizers and sides. We finished, so Ron made us both margaritas, and said there was no need to mention that he was helping me get ready for my meeting with Steve. We went back to the pool, and Ron was talking about how he had been working up a sweat and how the pool looked so inviting. He noticed that he didn't have swimming trunks, and I giggled that he could go without them, that I wouldn't peek. Instead of continuing the playful banter, he began to undress. When he was wearing nothing but his boxers, he came close to me and said, "Let's swim together. Take off your swimsuit." I should have run, but the alcohol and my stupid slutty side won out. They took everything off me, and I jumped into the pool naked. Ron was in the pool in seconds, holding me close to him. We were both naked. I knew I would let him have sex with me. I gave it to him. We examined each other's bodies, giving caresses. It was very wrong, but very, very good. And then Ron began to caress him in a way that Steve had never done before. I went crazy and experienced one of the most intense climaxes of my life. The combination of having something new, so vicious and forbidden done to me, took me to heaven. When I calmed down, Ron said that now it was my turn and I should help him make a quick shot. I did so. We drank a couple more glasses. He said that we shouldn't waste time, and we started the third round. He had me as if possessed by the devil. I was sure I would have bruises, and when he reached his peak, I screamed for him to leave me. He approached, growling. I started crying. I was hurt and ashamed of what I had just done to my husband. That evening, I had to constantly cover myself so Steve wouldn't notice the bruises. I begged him not to tell anyone. He said that if Steve found out, it wouldn't be good for either of us, so we agreed to keep quiet. So far, he has not tried to repeat the performance. I'm so happy about this that I will never cheat again, no matter what. The trouble is that we not only communicate often, but also play golf together a couple of times a month. Since Ron is something of a braggart, I'm constantly on edge, wondering if he'll give away my secret. Steve told me that Ron keeps going on and on about some woman he fucked who is a wild cat, but he won't reveal who it is. I know it's me, that he's giving a detailed account of sex. The bastard is probably content to talk about his sex to his hapless husband. If Steve ever finds out that Ron is bragging about me, I think he will kill us both. And we deserve it. With these words, Lana ended her vicious story. Later that day, Lana called Yana. "Hey, friend, is everything back to normal?" "No. God, Lana, I haven't heard a word from Nick. 5 years later, I thought we were already over it." "Have you ever heard of this Mark?" Lana asked. "No, but my mom said there was a guy I worked with, Mark, who got beat up pretty bad when he left the bar. Do you think it was Nick?" "I don't know. I'm afraid to ask. Besides, no matter what, I never want to bring this up and cause him more pain. That's why it's so bad that I screwed up last night and made him go through it again. I'm really worried. I think maybe he's going to leave me." "No way, baby. He loves you too much. He's just hurt. He's reliving the fact that you cheated on him. Look, he's already forgiven you for this, at least the part that he knows about. He'll come to his senses. Trust me." "I don't know. I'm scared, Lana. We were going to have kids. I had my last affair with alcohol at your party, and then we were going to start trying to get me pregnant. Now I'm not so sure. Are you going to work on getting pregnant?" "Amazing," Lana responded enthusiastically. "I stopped taking the pills 3 days ago, but now maybe he's glad that we don't have a child who would complicate the divorce," Yana answered, sobbing heavily. "Listen, he's probably just drunk as hell and will sleep it off in his motel room. Don't worry, it will fill you with little swimmers soon. Hey baby, my grizzly bear is screaming. I have to go, hang in there. I'll call you tomorrow." "Okay, go take care of Steve, we'll talk tomorrow. Bye." Both women passed out. Yana spent a long, lonely night waiting on the sofa for her husband, who never showed up. It was 3 o'clock in the morning when fatigue finally overtook her, and she fell asleep. Nick got up early Saturday morning, packed enough to avoid returning home for several days. He wasn't in the mood to talk to his wife, so he went to a diner for breakfast. As he sipped his coffee, he replayed the events of the previous evening in his head. He thought to himself, this damn bitch, so I'm not her best lover. I guess that idiot Mark really rocked her world. Bitch. He looked at the phone and turned it off. Let him guess where I am, he thought. Nick picked at his ham and eggs, wondering what he was going to do. A short question was required. What is he going to do for the rest of the day? Then came the inevitable long term. Is he going home? Ever? Or divorce this bitch? Divorce? Lord, is this really what I have to think about? It doesn't feel right. But making a choice now when I'm mad as hell is probably bad. Maybe I should go back and beat the crap out of that fucking asshole again. No. I was lucky I didn't get caught last time. I need to think. I could go to a club. I think the golf course would be better. Here's what I'll do. Everything I need is already there. Maybe there I can decide what to do with my fucking disrespectful wife. He joined a couple and had his own cart, which gave him more to think about since he didn't want to talk to his cart buddy. He had a couple of drinks after the match, and the first good news of the day was that his favorite bartender was working. Dear Susie Q. That's what he called her. Susan Bryant is her real name. They always exchanged playful teasing back and forth, both flirting. In fact, he never tried to seduce her. Suggestive conversations were just conversations. For his part, he always assumed she was just trying to increase her tips. And it actually worked. She immediately noticed that Nick's typical sexual innuendos were missing and something was bothering him. When the other two men left, Nick felt it was the right time and place to continue drinking. Not being very busy, Susie Q walked over. What's the matter, baby? I miss your usual attention, she began. Ah, the usual shit show at home, he replied. Come on, my love, you always say that you can tell me anything. Darling, that is good. Last night, during a game of Truth or Dare, my wife announced to me and everyone else that I was not the best lover she had ever had, he admitted. Damn, is she angry with you or what? I don't believe for a second that this is true about you. The way you constantly flirt with me makes me horny, she replied, giggling. I really wish you meant something like that. I need a sexy woman to calm me down a little. Do you think I'm sexy? She asked, showing a come fuck me smile. Hell yes. I know I'm just a client and you're doing your job. I understand that I don't have a chance with you. She looked him straight in the face, looked deep into his eyes and said, You have a chance. This shocked Nick. I wish you would take it seriously that I have a chance. A few years ago, my loving wife screwed up. She got drunk and cheated on me with some asshole. After much soul-searching and professional counseling, I agreed to take her back, but under certain conditions. One of them was for me that I had a couple of hall passes to even out the situation. Did she give you free passes to be with other women? Is this bullshit or true? Asked Susie. That was the agreement, it's actually in writing, he replied. I will never tell my man that he is not the best lover. It doesn't matter if it's true. Only if the bitch doesn't care whether she gets sent or not, then you can never say that. Nick, I finish at 5. If you want to cash in one of these passes, be here. Susan saw several more golfers enter the room and left Nick to ponder the offer. As she fussed over her new clients, Nick thought to himself, God, I always thought she was just playing along because I tip her so well. I really think she was just offering me her hot body. Well, Jana agreed to the passes, and Susie Q could give me what I need, restore my courage. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 hours before she would finish work. Nick decided he didn't want to sit in a bar getting drunk and deciding what to do. Instead, he threw 2 $50 bills on the counter, a total of $58 to pay the bill, waved to Susan, and said, I'll be there. He couldn't take his mind off Susie Q's best qualities. She had 36D breasts that attracted everyone's attention, and Susie Q herself was a beautiful woman, several years older than him, although she didn't look like it. To top it all off, she had a big and delicious butt. Weighing what to do, he said to himself out loud, Jana never felt the pain of betrayal, the terrible pain that I had to go through. Maybe she wouldn't be so promiscuous if she had experienced what I did. To hell with it. I'm going to shower, change, and come back to the bar at 5 and see if Susie Q is joking or not. At 4:45 p.m., Nick re-entered the bar, and Susie couldn't help the smile that spread across her face. She poured him a whiskey and cola, placed it in front of him, and said, After the last tip, this one is at my expense, then added, Bill is here and ready to take over the bar. Just give us a minute to get the register in order and I'll be ready to go. I'm hungry, thinking about where we'll go for dinner. While she was getting ready, Nick called and booked a table at one of the best restaurants in the city. At dinner, he tried to shift the conversation to Susie, but she wanted a more detailed explanation of why he decided to ask her out. He told her everything he knew. She only said that she was divorced, that she was a flirtatious wife, and that this played a role in the death of her marriage. After dinner, they went to a dance club, drank a couple of drinks, and danced. During the third dance, clinging tightly to him, she said, Listen, I know you're probably trying to play the gentleman, not rush me straight into bed. The point is that I have already made my intentions clear. How about leaving here for me? Without further argument, the bill was paid and they went to her apartment. Will you have a drink while I change into something else? She asked. Nick just smiled and accepted her offer. When she left the bedroom, his breath caught in his throat. He squeezed out with difficulty. My God, you are amazing. She was wearing a Steelers jersey and nothing else. She reached up, placing her hands on the back of his head to pull him to her lips for a passionate kiss. I'm glad you approve, she said, as he stroked her most intimate part with his hand. Susie pulled him through the doorway towards the bed, kissing him and undressing him as she went. I hope you'll consider staying the night. We'll need some extra time as I hope you'll explore every sexual option, she said seductively and lay down on the bed. They caressed and excited each other. He had never met a woman who enjoyed giving such pleasure to a man. They reached their peak at the same time. Did you like it? She asked. It was a wonderful time. God, it was great, he replied, unable to find the right words to describe what he had just experienced. I'm so glad you liked it, but the same rule applies to guys. He looked embarrassed, so she added, Never, never tell your woman that she is not the best. He laughed when the meaning dawned on him and said, I understand. For now, lie down. Now I'll bring us a couple of glasses, we'll regroup, and then I'll put you in order again, she instructed. Her perfect bare ass moved deliciously as she walked back into the kitchen. Nick couldn't help but be hypnotized by this seductive movement. After giving him some time to recover, Susie began to gently massage his entire body. This round took a little longer, which was great. The two of them reached their peak again. Did you ever imagine that we would do this? She asked. No, not at all. I mean, I pretended it was you a couple of times while Jana and I were having sex, but I felt a little uncomfortable doing it. So usually after a day on the field and a little playful flirting, I would be in the shower at home thinking about this, he said, pointing at her impressive breasts. Susie giggled and then added, I never thought this would actually happen either. I fantasized too, thinking about how you made me. In reality, it's much better, isn't it? Yes, much better. Please stay with me today. I know this is probably a one-time occasion, so please make it special. It's been a long time since I last woke up next to a man, she asked. Nick nodded, and Susie Q smiled. After sufficient recharging, she said, I hope you are ready for the final stage. No more encouragement was needed. The next morning, Nick woke up to the smell of bacon. Susie Q had already prepared coffee and breakfast when he slowly walked into the kitchen, fully dressed. Do you need all these problems? It's okay. I wanted to give it my all, she said, smiling at her lover. Susan, he began. Don't say, I know that you really love your wife. I'm a big girl now, don't worry. I wanted you last night as much as you wanted me, she said, cutting off his apology. Besides, she continued, I'm not very good at exclusive relationships, which is actually how my divorce happened. I thought it was your husband, that he was the biggest fool in the world. He was basically an asshole and had problems with monogamy, but he had his good moments. We came to a mutual decision that neither of us wanted to be married. But that's not how you are made, is it? She said, more asserting than asking a question. No, it's not mine. Look, I need to go home and have a straight talk with my wife. I'm fine, really. I enjoyed it immensely. Finish the breakfast I prepared for you. From now on, we will be a little naughty friends again, teasing each other at the club, said Susan. Having finished eating, Nick stood up, pulled her towards him, and kissed her so hard that she became aroused again. I went. As he was walking out the door, she added, If you need another free pass, I want you to cash it in with me. You will definitely be my first choice, he said, waving his hand goodbye. Sunday. Yana sleepy and sleep-deprived, Yana woke up from Lana's call. Hello? Has Steve heard anything from Nick? No, sorry, Yana, we didn't hear anything either. Steve starts asking some questions. He feels that Nick has come too far to just be annoyed by some teasing. You didn't tell him? Please tell me. You didn't tell him. Yana begged. No, I gave you my word. Don't worry. I won't tell anyone. Look, it was just a day. He's probably hungover. Don't worry. I try not to go crazy, but it's difficult. Did he pack any clothes or take a shaving kit? He collected some things, including an electric toothbrush and a razor, Yana reported. What about the costumes? He always wears a suit to work, right? Lana asked. No, I think all his suits are in the closet. He has to go to work on Monday, right? He'll be back today, I'm sure. When he does, smother him with love, Lana suggested. What if he doesn't come back or says that it's all over between us? Yana allowed her fear to manifest itself in its worst form. It doesn't make sense. He's not going to destroy your marriage now, after he's already forgiven you. No, he will calm down and return home. You may have to eat some crap, but do what you have to do. I just want him to come home so I can show him how much I love him. I'm waiting. I hear the garage door opening. I have to go, bye, Yana said, ending the conversation. When Nick entered, Yana was already waiting for him at the kitchen table. We need to talk, he said, causing his wife to gasp. She half expected the conversation to be about the end of their marriage. On Friday, you tore my heart out. All these horrible images of you cheating with this fucking guy came flooding back to me. To hear that I was not the best of your lovers, for me at least, it meant that your date was supposed to be, he began. Jana took advantage of the moment. She knew that she absolutely needed to stop him thinking like this, so she repeated most of what was in the message she sent him on Saturday morning, hoping that it would help him return home. Baby, that's not what I meant. I was drunk, and it seemed to me that I was joking, pranking my loving husband. I wasn't thinking about the mistake I made 5 years ago when I said that. I was just teasing, like any wife. Absolutely no one there thought I really meant it. Even Lana's lead was just fun. She called me several times and asked why you feel this way. She wants to apologize to you. She feels terrible, convinced that she is the cause of the problems between us. I don't know. When you answered this stupid question, it seemed to me that you weren't joking. I don't want Lana to be involved in this. This is between us. Please tell me that you didn't tell her everything else. Nick blurted out with concern in his voice, fearing that Yana would spill the beans and Lana would tell the whole damn world. No, baby. No. This is just between us, she said as confidently as possible, considering that she now had another lie to sell to her husband. I swear, what you're upset about isn't what I meant. You're the best thing I've ever had. Please let me make amends, Yana said, desperately wanting her man to buy into this lie. Okay. Let's say, as long as I believe you. There's one more thing I need to tell you before we go any further, Nick began. Yana froze, not knowing what would happen next. On Saturday, I went to the club. I have to tell you that when all these memories of you having sex with that guy flooded my mind, I was very angry. I started to hate you for what you did, and that even 5 years later, it still hurts so much. I thought I'd play a few holes and calm down. After that, I spent some time at the bar, hoping to get drunk. I was a sorry bunch, and the guys I was playing with finished their drinks and left. Susie, the bartender, noticed my low mood, and, since we had always been on friendly terms, came over and asked what was bothering me. I was already so drunk that my tongue was loose, and I told her about last night, and how you didn't think I was the best. Anyway, Susie said if I wanted to cash in one of my passes, she'd be out at 5. I returned to the course and played a few more holes, determined to decide if I wanted to use her to get back at you. I was also wondering if I needed a divorce. As soon as Nick said the word divorce, Yana took a deep breath. Not wanting to procrastinate, he immediately continued, I quickly realized that ending you was not exactly what I wanted, but I also had to relive the devastation you caused me. I suppose it's petty of me, but I wanted you to feel the same pain. So, just before the end of the workday, I returned to the bar. Susie gave me a look that needed no explanation. Yana could not speak. The realization of what her husband was confessing began to reflect on her face. Tears streamed down her cheeks as he continued. We quickly made plans for the evening, including dinner and dancing. Then I spent the night with her. Nick bowed his head, feeling ashamed because the free pass he cashed in wasn't just free at all. He wanted Yana to hurt and scored a big goal, but the emotional cost for him and his wife was high. Oh my God, Yana exclaimed, ran to the bedroom, entered and locked the door. Believing that trying to start a dialogue with her right now would be a futile mistake, he went down to the utility room where he kept his work clothes. After changing into something more suitable, he went outside, turned on the lawnmower, and started working on the lawn. Wanting to extend the time, he also mowed their elderly neighbor's yard, something he did frequently. While going to wash his truck, he noticed that her car was missing. He thought she must have left while he was mowing the neighbor's grass. Immediately after this, Yana returned, parked the car, and came out with a small bag. She saw her husband but did not come and speak. Instead, she went inside. He thought she must have run away from the store. After finishing his work, it was 5 in the evening, and Nick finally gave in to the thought that he had run out of reasons to put off returning to the house. Yana was in the kitchen, apparently preparing dinner, and she looked as if she had been crying for several hours. "Have you been to the store?" "I saw you bring the bag," Nick asked. "No, just some things from the pharmacy that I left in the car yesterday while I was looking for you." "Where are you?" It doesn't matter," he continued. "I went to your golf club. I wanted to talk to her." "Susan, why did you do that?" I asked her, "Please, not to take my husband away from me." "Yana, there is no chance of this." That's what Susan said, and then she admitted that she doesn't really like being exclusive. She also told me that she knows for sure that you are in love with me. "I love you. It's not a problem," he replied. She also asked if I really said you weren't my best ever in front of my friends. When I nodded, she asked if I was in my right mind to say something like that, or if I was just stupid. I told her I wanted to tease her. She said, "There is nothing funny in saying this. And also in front of friends? Damn. Are you ready to listen to my advice?" When I said, "Of course," she told me a couple of things. "Which ones?" Nick asked. "I can't say this is a secret girlish agreement," Yana answered with the first smile on her face after the truth or dare mistake. Susan told her, "A woman should always support a man's ego, especially in public. Tell him and especially others that he is the strongest, the most beautiful, the smartest and #1 on the list, the best sex partner in the world. Just like you, love to hear that you are the smartest, most beautiful, sexiest, most loving wife there is. These things don't have to be 100% true. His belief that you see him that way is what matters. He longs to be your white knight. Let him. Yes. And one more thing. Look into his eyes with adoration. I'm just saying, don't let him know our secret, otherwise it will worsen the results." "Baby, I don't know what to say," Nick began, trying to continue the polite conversation. "Before we say anything else, answer me this. Do you still want to stay married? I love you, and I'm sure I want us to stay together. But Friday destroyed me almost as much as it did 5 years ago. My ego was in desperate need of a boost, and along with the alcohol on Saturday, my wounded pride convinced me to take advantage of the promise you made to me when I agreed to stay married. I know what I promised you. 5 years have passed, and I thought that we no longer needed to get even." "Baby, he began, but Yana interrupted. "No, don't apologize. I made this agreement. I just had no idea how much it would hurt if you decided to use it. Nikki, I'm so sorry that I caused you this terrible, endless pain. I really feel bad when I think about you in her bed, about you doing to her what should only be done to me. This situation we find ourselves in is my fault. I have to admit it. I accept the consequences of my mistake. I just want to remain your wife." Instead of a verbal answer, Nick opened his arms, and Yana rushed into them, hugging desperately. "Nikki, are we even now? I know I agreed to a few hall passes, but I don't think I can stand it if you're going to continue with this bartender. I think you are the only one who knows the answer to this question for sure, since I never asked you for details about when it happened." I was too devastated to ask at the time. Even during the consultations we had, I didn't ask if there was anything else. I guess I didn't want to know if it was worse than what I already knew. The thing I was going to get divorced for. I wanted this to be a forgivable mistake on your part. Was there more to this than I already knew? Yana gasped. She tried her best to control herself and not break down. She mentally went through the possible answers and possible consequences of each. "What? Is there some more? What didn't you tell me?" Nick asked in an irritated but at the same time scared tone. The moment of truth has come. Jana was able to confess her alcohol-induced, lust-fueled threesome, which gave her the best sexual experience of her life. That she cheated with 2 men, not just one, Yana was sure that the disclosure of this fact would certainly lead to her losing her husband, or she needed to muster all the strength she could muster, look her lover straight in the eyes, and lie as convincingly as possible. Yana had been puzzling over how to answer this direct question for 5 years. She reasoned that if she told everything, it would hurt Nick even more, and he would divorce her. She couldn't stand either outcome. Deeper pain for Nick and no longer being his wife were not viable options in her reasoning. She decided that this would be her cross, which she would carry to the grave. The sacrifice she must make to save her marriage and protect it from unnecessary suffering. Even though she seemed caught off guard in the first few seconds, her response was timely and didn't seem like she was creating a contrived version of the truth. He had no idea she had been preparing for this moment for so long. Lie. Sell like her life depended on it. No, my love, I gave this asshole access to my body once. I think we should call this a draw. We both need to forget about this or our marriage will be ruined. If you truly forgive me and put aside my mistake from many years ago, I will not say a word about your date with Susan. I want this. No, I need this to finally end. Are we even? She asked with a plea in her eyes. Yes, I also need it to end. What we actually did caused each other immeasurable pain. I agree that if we try to be reckoned with, we will not survive. I don't need passes anymore. I love you, he said. I love you more than you know. I will never again make you doubt that you are my best at everything, she replied. The events of the previous weekend, as well as the events of 5 years ago, were put aside by both of them. Never again will there be a reason to drag out a malignant past. In the days following the reconciliation, best friends Yana and Lana continued to meet and open up to each other. Both women agreed that they needed to seal the truth of the past so that their marriages could survive. They vowed to never talk about their bad behavior or the consequences of those actions ever again. An unexpected result of Yana and Nick's conflict was that Lana woke up on the dangerous path she was on, and it terrified her. She deliberately changed the way she interacted with other men. Steve was curious as to what had caused this change in his wife. She became less flirtatious with other men and more attentive to him. When he asked, Lana would only answer that she realized she had been taking him for granted, that she was determined to fix this situation. Steve also noticed that while Lana always gave great sex, it seemed to happen more often and with greater intensity. Was Susie Q's wise advice passed on to Lana? 3 months after they reconciled, Yana's birth control stopped working and she became pregnant. Nick was delighted. He and Yana's new era as a young, loving family began without any need to look back. A year after Truth or Dare, Ron got blackout drunk while playing golf with Steve and revealed that Lana was the hot wildcat he had bragged about having sex with. His alcohol-soaked brain didn't properly calculate her husband's reaction, as Steve's next blow was a right fist to the jaw. The blow knocked Ron to the ground, and when he tried to get up, another one followed, and the light went out. Ron's golf bag was thrown off the cart, leaving him on the 16th tee. Arriving at their home, Steve immediately ran into Lana. Without any warning, she gave in and begged for forgiveness. He moved out for several months, considering his options. When the affair happened, Ron agreed with Lana that it would be bad for both of them if Steve found out. This was largely due to the fact that they were not equal partners in business. Steve was the majority owner and, in a way, could push Rod out on his ass. This was done by offering him less than his share was worth, but allowing him to leave without exposing his treachery. Sober Ron accepted the offer, regretting what he had done. Lana's misfortune, the fact that her betrayal became known, scared the hell out of Yana. But Lana managed to survive the divorce and start a new life as a single, divorced woman with children, without dragging her friend along with her. A few years later, she chanced upon an account manager who was in town on business and was temporarily assigned to an office in their town. They had met before at a work-related convention she and Steve attended. He was also divorced, and they were both single. They started dating, and when he returned to his home office, Lana and her children went with him to the other side of the state. A year later, they got married. The close relationship of two friends, Yana and Lana, became another victim of deception, and everything came down to Christmas cards and random phone calls. Only 4 people knew the truth about Yana's shame. Mark and Jake were several states away. When Lana left, the only one who could destroy Nick and Yana's marriage was Yana. And she will never do it. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.